Hey, welcome back. Another edition, the Exiles podcast. We like to think of this as the Exiles TV show, only a little more casual, a little more conversational.
A little more potty.
Yeah.
And potty mouth.
Plus, sometimes we say bullshit.
No, we don't.
I just did.
Everything we say is valid.
Just remember, though.
Oh, you mean the actual word.
If you object to the language, the FCC says because you went to a social media website and actually clicked on it, you invited the content.
If you object to the language, you go. Never mind. That wouldn't be the way we wanted to do that, would we?
No, not at all. We're friendly and
We are
good.
friendly and warm and involved in the community.
Look at the closed captioning put up question marks where I just said bullshit. Isn't that funny?
Did you? Are you going to violate their community standards?
Probably. I'll be in Facebook jail. I think there's a lot of people out there lately would love for me to be in Facebook jail.
Or any kind of jail.
Because I've just, I've decided to be the curmudgeon here with a lot of this crap going on in America today.
Okay, so, we're all trying to get our terminology correct, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to be sensitive. We're trying to be understanding. We're trying so many different things, most of which we're having little success. So I'm listening to an educational program with, on the way over here, two psychiatrists.
Walk into a bar.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And they say, why do you think it's that color paint? Well, I don't know. What do you think? But anyway, they're talking about being teenagers and being in the closet with their homosexuality. And they're talking about how hard it is not to have a normal teenage life. And now we're seeing with teenage boys and girls who are gay a tick up in suicide. And I'm understanding.
Well, that's a shame.
I get it. But anyway, so this one guy talks about LGBTQ+. And I'm sorry. I went to is that like a McDonald's feature?
Well, they're just going to keep adding initials.
You're supersizing it? What does that mean?
You and I don't think we were listening to the same radio program on the way in, but I think they were on the same topic. And I was, you learn something every day. And I accidentally touched the screen and just sent the camera to look at the ceiling for a moment. Sorry about that, gang. But it's a
good picture of the
It's
ceiling.
a lovely ceiling here at La Divina. I was educated that the Q does not stand for queer. That's what the L and the G signify, is that within their own community they can use the word queer if they're lesbian or gay. But if you're not of the community and you use it, then of course that's hate speech and don't do it. It's questioning. In other words, literally they're allowing for I'm just hopelessly confused and I don't know where my gender identity or preference lies.
Well, we're all hopelessly confused. But the point
I know
is,
exactly where my gender identity and preference lie. I've known for a good long time.
Well,
and
it's not always about you.
Yeah, well, my life is about me.
Look
Sorry.
at poor Lance. I mean, he's confused every day.
But not about his gender or his identity. I feel bad.
I'm just confused.
I know that they don't want me to feel bad. If I said that in a group discussion, it would be, we don't want your pity. But I feel bad for people that don't have a solid knowing of who they are.
Well, I think that it's a very difficult situation, particularly for somebody that's an adolescent.
Yeah.
Because your dad's saying, get on out there and smack
Chase some skirt.
Smack one over the fence for me, and you're like, Dad, I'm not interested. I'm really not.
Boy,
I'd rather.
When are you going to have a girlfriend? You're always hanging out with that friend Stan. Don't you understand? It's like you're going to have an easier time. You don't need a wingman.
I have a very good friend. He is a brilliant public relations professional. And he, like me, remained unmarried until he got into his 30s. And his grandmother looked at him in front of everybody and said, Mark, it's okay. You can tell me, sweetheart, do you like girls?
Wow.
It was rough. It was rough. But now,
what do you say? Well, Gran, not so much.
We're back on the ceiling again. Oh, here we are.
I'm telling you, if I so much...
Well, stop touching. Didn't your mother ever tell you stop touching
Well,
it?
it's a bitch because this is how you direct the cameras by touching the thing. But then if in any other part of your hand, so much as
Stop touching it.
it's like there.
Your camera will go blind. Stop touching it.
All right, go ahead with your story.
Well, anyway, my grandmother from Hammond, they were strawberry farmers, and she never said a whole lot. But in her later years, you would have thought she was a mute. And we went out to the farm in Hammond one Sunday, and I had Karen with me, and I said, Grandma, this is Karen. We're going to get married. And she just kind of looked up and all that, and I said, oh, she's not going to say anything. So I turn around to leave, and she looks up at Karen, and she gets this little half smile. She says, about damn time.
I had something similar when I introduced Mary Ann to my grandmother, and it was, sadly, it was one of those kind of, if you'd like to see your grandmother, you know, it's getting bad, so come see her, you know, while you can. So Mary Ann and I jumped on a plane, and we went out to Denver, where Grandma was in a nursing home. And Mary Ann sat, you know, on the side of the bed and talked with her for a little while and everything, and she leans over and she whispers to my mom, and one of those stage whispers that everybody in the room can hear.
You could hear it in the next zip code, yeah.
She's mighty nice for a Catholic girl. And Mom's like, yeah, we like her a lot.
Yeah, and there you have it, boys and girls. You know, I'm going to hope that when I get to be an old person, people will not want to speak with me, because you really shouldn't try to speak with old people. You never know what you're going to get on the receiving end. You just don't know.
Mm-hmm. We're getting some comments. Jane said, missed y'all yesterday. The Pelican app replayed Tuesday's show instead of the live show. Jane, peek behind the curtains, literally. They were having a technical difficulty at Pelican that we were about, 8 minutes from airtime when they discovered that they had a problem in their chain, their technological chain. I don't know what it was. Do you?
They don't know what it was.
But they weren't capable of going live, so they had no choice but to replay the previous program.
Jane, we had stage hands 2 feet from the set, 2 feet outside the shot, that were pulling racked gear, you know, a big piece of gear that would fit in a wall rack and cable. And he's got this big reel of cable, and he's unreeling it like this. And I looked at him and said, Alan, you know, your monkey is
mighty
not...
big. Well, I was thinking, you're going to bring in a mighty big fish.
Yeah.
But no, so what we did was they were able to record our program yesterday, and it aired during the 10 p.m. replay last night.
And it'll air this weekend.
And it is, I believe, up on YouTube. If you search Pelican Broadcasting on YouTube, you can go to it. And I believe Jonathan's got the program up by now.
But if you don't want to stay up late to watch it, let me tell you what happened. I was brilliant. Kevin was brilliant. The guests were sparkling.
Maybe the best ever.
The humor was fabulous.
The dancers. The
dancers were really, really good. Tasteful, but very, very good.
And I thought that the SEAL did a great job with balancing the ball for so long.
Only dropped it once.
Yeah. It was a marvelous show.
And we both worked without pants. So we'll try to do that type of thing again.
We've had some guests show up without pants. That's what's funny is, you know, they're so used to doing TV that they think, well, if I wear a jacket and a tie and Bermuda shorts, I'll be cool. But no. Sometimes the camera peeks under the table a little bit.
Well, we've had it happen twice, right? Or 3 times. How many times have we had that happen?
3 guests have shown up in shorts, in a jacket, tie, and shorts.
And one of our guests is very, very svelte. He's very, very thin. And his Bermuda shorts were very, very baggy. And you had to kind of keep that camera shot up high, lest you...
see something you don't want to see?
Yeah, see something nobody wants to see, in all probability.
I want to pull this camera shot out to, you know, because here's something I think everybody's going to want to see. What do you think of that? Is that a good-looking young man?
And he is wearing pants. Look at that.
Yeah, suit pants.
Thanks
Even
for
got
the pants. Appreciate
got
you.
it on. Got it on.
Rowdy Gaudet, who has been a guest on our radio show many, many times, when he was one of the assistant chief administrative officers for the city parish, is now running for Metro Council in District 3. That's my district, by the way.
As I understand it, yes.
The seat is an open seat because Chandler Loop is term limited.
Yep, Chandler's been in there 12 years, served out his term, so
Well,
end
it
of this
seems
year.
longer.
It seems a lot longer.
I'm kidding, Chandler.
To him, it seems longer.
That's true.
I mean, it's a lot of work being a Metro Council member. It really is. And Rowdy, we want to welcome you to the podcast. And what motivated you to go into this? Because it is going to, it's considered to be a part-time job, but it's like 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah.
Having been in government, you saw it up close and personal. What's your motivation for wanting this?
I appreciate it, and thank you guys for having me once again. Announced the run for Metro Council just last week. Got a lot of positive feedback thus far, enjoying being out there talking to folks. But as you mentioned, I've worked in both private and public side, but worked in local government most recently. Mm-hmm. And just really, really enjoy the process of trying to improve particularly local government, which I think is the most flexible form of government we have, the closest to the people, and what I really, really enjoy very much. So, for me, it is this is a community that's given me and my family so much. I feel a sense of giving back. I think there's many ways to do that. You guys do a public service to our community with the information you provide. Going to Metro.
Shucks.
Yeah. See, I give you a little kiss there before I'm about to kick you. No, I'm kidding.
Was that line from Hunt from Red October? You see, Jack, I'm a politician. While I'm kissing babies in one hand, I'm stealing their lollipops with the other.
There you go. So it's a love of the community, but also, I mean, I feel like the issues that are important to our community, and here in Baton Rouge, talking about infrastructure, traffic and drainage and public safety and the appearance of East Baton Rouge Parish. I think those are important issues. I feel like I've got some experience on the execution side of those, and really feel like I can do some good on the policy side and on the Metro Council side. So those are some of the broad reasons why I'm running.
Let me ask a policy question. I mean, when a lot of people run for an office, especially a governing body like a Metro Council, they might have an issue or a policy that they'd like to run, I don't want to say run on, but feature in their campaign talking points. What would you like to see changed?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I've pushed out there thus far is, as I just mentioned, infrastructure, economic development, public safety. I think those are the 3 core issues to our parish, to our public. But listen, a Metro Council the way I've termed it is a board of directors. As you all know, we've got a strong mayor-president form of government. Mm-hmm. The mayor-president, for the most part, oversees the operations side of government. And so the Metro Council serves that policy side, that board of directors side, role, rather, in how we govern. And so, so I don't run around the community saying, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to bring every business to District 3. It's a partnership. It's the administrative side and it's the legislative side working together. And so what I'm bringing is I understand the legislative role, and I'll be very aggressive about bringing those things that need to come before the Metro Council, before our group, making sure the public fully understands them and getting them out.
How much of District 3 is in what will be St. George?
Yeah, it is literally about a 50-50 split. So the District 3, runs from where the parish line is in the Mississippi River, where I live in sort of the River Bend area, south of LSU, all the way through all of South East Baton Rouge Parish to touch the other parish line, to touch where Highland and Blue Bayou Water Park and that area. Yeah. Right. So it picks up all of the southern part of East Baton Rouge Parish. So 50% is in what's proposed St. George, 50% is outside of those limits.
Rowdy, the Metro Council as it is now, I mean, let's just speak plainly. It's a contentious body. They don't get along on a lot of things. There's very much an us versus them attitude at play, I think, on the Metro Council. As a member of one of those 2 teams, do you hope that you can help bring some reason and some harmony back to the Metro Council? Is that possible?
I appreciate that very much. So what we'll have in terms of the makeup of our Metro Council is at least 6 are either termed out or running for another office, and so therefore not seeking that role. So 6 of the 12 members of the Metro Council will be new to the council. The other 6 are running. Obviously, they'll have races that they will go after to seek re-election. But so you'll have a turnover of half the Metro Council. So you'll have some new folks coming in. And what I'll say is, I made phone calls to all of the council members who anticipate to return to let them know of my intentions and tell them that I was going to launch the campaign. And I'm very proud of the fact that every single one of them was excited about it, said this is the type of executive experience we'd like to have on the council. You're someone we could work with when you were with the mayor's administration. We want the council to be more of a governing body that works together. And that was a Democrat, Republican, anyone on the council. So I was really thrilled about that sort of a conversation to lead into a run for this office.
If you don't mind, I want to clarify for folks that are watching and listening. So Chandler Loop is term limited. That's the seat you're running for.
That's correct.
Scott Wilson, the current pro tem, is term limited.
Correct.
Matt Watson is running for mayor.
That's right.
Tara was term limited, but she is also running for mayor.
That is correct.
Who else?
Trey Welch.
Trey Welch is term
in District
limited.
1 in the northern part of the parish. And then, you had Barbara Freiberg's seat turn over.
Yeah.
And that's now Jen Rocca, correct. And
is Donna Collins Lewis term limited?
Thank you. That's the one. Yes. So
right.
Donna Collins Lewis is termed out and not able to seek re-election. So there's your 6 that are turning over for the Metro Council.
Erica Green and Shauna Banks presumably running for re-election.
As is Lamont Cole. As is Dwight Hudson.
Dwight, yeah. Dwight's my guy.
Okay. As is Denise Amoroso.
And Jennifer is running for a full term.
Jennifer will seek a term, right.
It has seemed to me, at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, I sat through a number of Metro Council meetings. And 2 things struck me. That there was an ideological and racial divide that actually affected the debate, because I found that a lot of the people sitting on that Metro Council really, really tamped their remarks down or didn't make remarks at all. And that the votes were almost always split along party and, the way the council was, racial lines. And it also seemed to me that those meetings dragged on forever and ever and ever and ever.
That's because they get bogged down in the differences.
Well, you also had council members that were like, okay, I've been here 2.5 hours and I'm leaving. And it also looked to me like there was some agenda stacking going on. Things at the front end that really didn't amount to a hill of beans, but would bog things down. And then the real issues were going to happen after around 7 o'clock at night, when people were tired or leaving to go get a Coke or going to the bathroom. And then all of a sudden, I mean, in my view, the procedurals need revamping very, very much. Now, when you worked in the administration, I'm sure you must have noticed this too.
Well, I mean, the agenda is set by the council administrative staff, and knowing those people, knowing the quality of people they are. I mean, I will tell you, from their vantage point, there's not a political bent to how the agenda is laid out. The mayor pro tem, whoever that person is, determines the run of the meeting and the outlay of the meeting. And Scott Wilson was one who took items in order. A lot of times, as you can imagine, in that position, you'll get requests, hey, can I go first? Can you put me up front, so I can go do my other business? And he stuck to the agenda is the agenda, and we're going to go through it as it's laid out. So, what I'd say in answer to your question is, right now, with everything that's going on in our community and the type of budget that we're looking at for our local government, I think everything's got to be on the table. How we conduct business, the structure and form of our government. We've got some proposed plan of government changes that a committee of a lot of really great, dedicated, smart people came together and put forward ideas that can be considered for some changes to the structure of our government. I think it's all got to be on the table. We've got to take a look at how we're doing business, just like every private business that's out there right now. With what's going on, how do we pivot? How do we adjust? What changes do we need to make so we can continue to thrive in this environment?
Rowdy, I'm going to come back to St. George for a minute because, as you said earlier, your district pretty much straddles city and St. George. That means that if elected, you'll be representing both the plaintiffs
And the
defendants in a current lawsuit. That puts you in a difficult spot. Do you have any thoughts on smoothing out this relation? St. George is gonna happen eventually. The city and the parish have just got to find a way to work around it. And what's at issue now? Something like $24 million in sales tax revenue. Can't the city find some way to reapportion, reorganize, absorb that cost?
Well, I think you said it when you said we've got to find a way to work together. I've already connected with the organizers of the St. George effort, had a really great conversation with them, look forward to more meetings in the future. What I shared with them was, they followed a legal mechanism to get an item via petition put onto a ballot. That ballot measure was carried out. The issue, as you just said, is now with the courts. I don't foresee that the council takes any action to subvert the judicial path that it's on. What I say about the way St. George will look on the back end in the months, year, maybe years plural, that this thing is in the court system, I think it comes out on the back end looking somewhat different than the way it does today. It's kind of like, this is the analogy I gave to somebody the other day. Go look at your 5-year plan in the year 2015 if you live in the capital region. With what we experienced in 2016, what we experienced in this year in 2020, that 5-year plan, you had to make how many adjustments? It looks nothing like what
5.
you crafted. If your business flooded, if your home flooded, things went out the window, you had to completely change. And this year with COVID, things went out the window, you had to completely change. The St. George issue for me is the same. It's gone into the courts. The way it comes out on the back end, I think, will look somewhat different. You've got some businesses, some neighborhoods considering annexing in or out or looking at what does it really mean for us. What I shared with the St. George organizers was shift your messaging now to when, as you indicated, when we're incorporated, because they feel like they will be incorporated. This is what will mean for the parish. This is how we'll benefit the parish. And so that was my one request to them, was start to shift your messaging to say, yes, we've incorporated or we will incorporate in the future, but this is what it will mean for the parish. This is how we will give back to the parish and benefit the parish as a whole. I think that would go a long way towards where we'll have to get to whenever this thing comes out of the court system.
Yeah, because when the whole thing is over with, a bridge is going to have to be built between the city and the new city. And everybody's going to have to, learn to be fellow citizens of East Baton Rouge Parish.
That's right.
Yeah, we're all going to also have to learn how to coexist cordially with all of the brickbats flying and the accusations being made.
See, but you're going to be in a situation where clearly half of your if you represent one half, the other half is going to say, well, you bastard,
And that's okay with me.
Because there are people that hate St. George. They hate the idea of St. George.
Well, and that's why this is now. The beautiful separation of powers come into play. This is now in the judicial branch. So the legislative and executive branch really don't have much to say right now.
But the job on the back end is, whatever the outcome may be, it is to make sure that bridge remains in place. And
what I'm suggesting is, Rowdy, is that your role going forward after the smoke clears as the representatives, you're going to have to be the bridge builder. You're going to have to be the peacemaker, and that's going to have to happen outside of council chambers.
And that's why I'm very proud that with the St. George organizers, who knew I worked in the current administration, I can still have meetings with them, discussions with them, conversations with them, and we have a really good working relationship. So I'm proud of that, and I want to continue that. I think that's sort of the temperament I bring to the job. You mentioned contentious council meetings. I think there's an approach you can take when you serve on a board of directors. Even though those cameras are on when that council meeting's running, you don't have to make it as contentious as it has been in the past. So I hope to bring and offer some of that for the council going forward.
Let me ask you a couple of questions that may or may not come before you. The first one right now is a grenade and the pin is out. If you were on the council today, or if this happens after the election and you're elected, how do you feel about offering millions of dollars in settlement to the Alton Sterling family, or would you think that this is a must go to trial type of item?
No, I saw the news come out this morning, and I have not talked to anyone in the parish attorney's office. So I'm hesitant to weigh one way or the other. I understand the council is considering it now. I understand the parish attorney's office is representing them in that, but I am not on those discussions and conversations. So I'm hesitant to weigh in on where they're going with this thing.
Well, let me ask you a general question. There has been the Alton Sterling survivors case notwithstanding. Let's take that out. There has been some ebbs and flows of discussions about the Metro Council doing the old, we don't want to go to trial, it's too much time, costs us as much money, let's write a check. There have been too many settlements. And as someone who lives here, I understand we're self-insured, and I understand that if we were to offer this settlement, it wouldn't be with our insurer, it would be from reserves. So as a general rule, how do you feel about settling lawsuits that are six figures or more? Do you think that they should automatically settle, or do you think that those should be tried?
Yeah, I think a lot of discussion goes into a decision like that. I mean, you've got to get, I have an MBA in finance, not a law degree, so you've got to get input from the parish attorney's office. I think there's going to be some fellow council members who feel strongly on these subjects. I would want to have conversations with them. So, you know, I don't think there's a scenario where I can say, here's the black and here's the white of it, and this is exactly where I fall. I think you've got to look at every scenario as an individual case.
Second question, then I'll kind of take you off the hook, is District 3 is growing.
We were talking about kissing babies. I thought that's what, no.
We're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that. District 3 is growing.
Yeah.
I know that there is a plan for a brand new BRFD fire station in District 3, right on the border of District 3 and, what is it, District 9 that touches it?
That's right.
There is and that will be a combined EMS and fire station, as I understand it. And there is also a plan that the funding is available to have a brand new St. George Fire Department station in District 3. But I think there's probably going to need to be maybe one of each in the next 5 years. Are you looking at the growth in that district and looking at what you might be able to start making plans for in terms of proposing that we build some more public safety? Because the population is growing.
Is in that area is definitely growing, yes. And actually, prior to my departure from the administration, we had started talking, I worked very closely with the fire department about what that would look like. I would not be opposed to consolidation of efforts if we can make that work, bringing varying parties together and seeing if we can do, my term is always, let's do government smartly. So if there are entities that serve the same purpose that could co-share locations, I would be open to that. So it's easier said than
you're inching dangerously close to that line where we're saying a metropolitan police force. Is that where you mean to go with this?
I am a fan of limited yet aggressive government. I think local government, as we did when March 2020 occurred, we had to completely change focus and solely focus on the impact of our community from COVID-19. Local government has to be responsive to the needs of the people. Our needs 10 years ago are not our needs today. Our needs 5 years ago are not our needs today. As this Metro Council that's coming in looks forward, and again, over the course of 5 to 10 years, so many external factors play in to what impacts the community. But as this Metro Council looks forward, I think everything needs to be on the table for how we operate as a local government, how we deliver those services to our citizens.
Rowdy, before we wrap things up, because we've only got a few minutes left, I thought I'd give you the opportunity to talk about, Rowdy Gaudet, the man. Tell us about you.
The worst part of what I do, I don't like talk. I'd rather talk about y'all. Let's talk about you guys.
People already know more than they want to know.
There's only one chair up in the council chamber, so the three of us
You're
fit.
You're right. Okay, so yeah.
I mean, whatever you feel comfortable with.
No,
we don't want to invade your privacy.
I'm kidding. Look, married. I'll start there with the most important thing. Married to a beautiful bride, much like you. I married up. And so, four wonderful
She hot? You
children.
got pictures? Okay. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm going to move on from that.
want
Four wonderful
apologize,
children.
Mrs. Gaudet. I apologize.
How many kids?
Four kids.
Well, that
Really?
understands-
Wow.
That understands the
Ages
bus
11
you
and
arrived
younger. I'm
in.
just
Yeah.
going to keep talking. Y'all.
Boys are swimmers. Okay.
Background, like I said, public and private side, worked in local government. I'm now working for a local consulting firm, doing work all over Louisiana and even in other states around the country, doing some consulting work. MBA in finance, communications degree before that, and served on a number of nonprofit boards, served on the East Baton Rouge Parish Planning and Zoning Commission for a couple of years. So what I feel like is experience that contributes to how I would add value to the Metro Council.
Alma mater is?
LSU on a master's degree. I'm a McNeese State University undergrad.
Harvard on the
Louisiana
Bayou.
University.
That's
Oh,
right.
man.
Whose mascot, by the way, is Rowdy, the cowboy, over
love
there
it.
in Lake Charles.
We were speculating yesterday that your parents must have been very, very big fans
Rawhide.
of Rawhide.
You 100%. You got it exactly right. That's what it
do you
was.
have a brother named Gil?
Nope, but I have a cousin named Clint, so my mother went with the
Wow.
character name, Rowdy.
Now,
So she was
she's
a big
purist.
Clint Eastwood fan.
Now, you are running as a Republican.
Yes.
As of yet, qualifying ends when?
Qualifying is July 22nd through the 24th.
You have no opponent yet.
So far, I've heard no other names. As you well know, there's still time, and anyone could go down. That's the beauty of our system. You can go down and sign up to run. But as of now, I'm the only candidate that I've heard thus far that's running.
Well, we offer all local candidates
Yeah.
a slot on this, and we will also offer them, as time permits, a slot on our TV show. So we will be in touch with you for that. But we always enjoy having you on, and we wish you a great deal of luck in your run.
And if I can gush just a little bit, when in the times when you were a guest on our radio show, we sometimes will discuss a guest somewhat after the guest after you've left the room, and we
Okay.
can back talk you. But Bill and I generally always agreed that you were a pretty brilliant hire for mayor
Oh,
room.
well, I
So-
thought you were going to say a nice person, but
No,
thank you.
well,
Thank
you
you
are
very
a nice
much.
person.
Well, that's
You
apparent.
you represented the mayor's office extremely well. You did
Thank
a
you.
great job.
Thank you.
So
Well, and-
hopefully you can bring those same talents to the Metro Council.
No, I appreciate
and
it.
you do answer the question that is asked, as so many people in politics do not.
Good. I try not to dance around it too much, but thank y'all because y'all do provide a
This
service
is from
to the
Don,
community.
who I
Oh,
believe
yeah.
lives in the district, and he
Yes.
says, "Good luck, young man."
Yep. And
I'll take the young part. I like
Byron
that.
says,
Byron-
"Got to vote for this guy. He's a McNeese grad too."
he says, "Go Pokes!"
Go Pokes. Go Pokes. There
His
you
name
go.
is Rowdy Gaudet, and if you live in District 3, he will be on your ballot for
There you go.
East Baton Rouge Parish Metro Council. And we'll be talking with him again, hopefully several more times before
Great.
Election Day.
Indeed.
I
Now we're
appreciate
going
it.
to take our break, everybody, on Facebook Live, and generally they're going to throw some filler up from God knows where in between. But this is where we go and take care of our blood pressure medication and get more coffee, and then we'll be back in just a few minutes for part 2 of the Exiles on the Morning Exiles Facebook page. So stick around.